long time. Thanks for coming. Students first.
So many of you know that every year LitMag hosts 2 cafe nights, which is an opportunity for you guys to showcase slam poetry, music, dance, monologues, really any type of performance art, show your visual art, or even just read poems that you like in front of people. And so that's going to be tonight
at 7 o'clock in the Student Center, so please be there. It'll be really fun. We're going to have food, so you should
there'll be
come.
food. Please come. Okay, so we're selling prom tickets every day at lunch next week. Singles are $50 and couples are $80. And so we'll be selling couples all throughout next week, and we'll only be selling singles at the door and singles at lunch.
There's a good guys meeting today at lunch in Mr. Colby's room. We have something pretty important we're talking about today, so be there, and we might have snacks.
August 7, 2016. It was just another hot summer day. But despite the heavy heat of California, it felt like a biting wind that was chilling my skin. Feelings of regret and terror came in waves, tearing me apart. Choking, suffocating, and drowning. I couldn't say a word. I knew I would remember this day as the day my life changed. As this is the day my parents flew all the way from China to the United States to drop me off at a stranger's house. From this day on, 7,000 miles of Pacific Ocean will be standing in between us. My first friend and first teacher, my father, gave me the last hug. It was not just any ordinary hug. Our embrace lasted as my soul bled into his and his into mine. Over the recent years, I always wanted more independence. I have dreamed about leaving my parents, moving out of town, and just start off my own adventure somewhere far, far away from everyone I knew. Finally, that day was here, the white with tears streaming down my face. My father rolled up the car window and drove off. That was that exact moment that I realized that from this day on, no one will wake me up in the morning. No one will leave to work early for me, even if I'm free period last. No one will drive me anywhere I want over the weekend. No one will sign me up for summer camps, or order my textbooks for me, or keep track of my schedules, making sure I wasn't late for anything. Over time, I learned that my father cared for me more than I cared for myself. My dad, he had me enough to let me go. He is the person who's hurt it the most when I made my decision to study overseas. And yet, he had loved me enough so let me go even to the places he cannot easily reach. Ironically, only now that we're on the opposite side of the planet, I started to realize how good he was to me. I took my father for granted and failed to see the importance of him until he's not around. But only now that I know, every second we had together would be my precious memory. And every second we will spend together will be a priceless gift. Contemplatively, I watched the car drive off until it disappeared from my sight.
the next head of school at York. Educators Collaborative, which is the company that's working with the school to do the nationwide search, is going to be on campus Monday and Tuesday of next week. And they are going to meet with students, with faculty and staff, with parents, with a number of different constituencies. And for parents watching and for faculty and staff, we will send an email letting you know about the times that they're available to meet. But for students, I wanted you to know and encourage you to attend an open meeting for students with Educators Collaborative on Monday during lunch. And it's a forum day, so it's going to be 11:55 to 12:30. But during lunch in room 8, open session for students to meet with Educators Collaborative. If you have any questions, you can come to the advancement office and talk to me about that. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to share with you something that went out in the Falcon, and I know you are all just faithful readers of the Falcon all the time, but just in case you missed it, I know that you've been aware that we have been going through, the faculty and the staff have been going through this special training to further our education and knowledge about how to keep you safe and for all of us to be safe here on campus. And you are aware that we've been doing some of these tabletop trainings. Not all of you had a chance to do it on Wednesday because of various things, but you will have another chance to do a tabletop training. But on Wednesday, April 11th, it's an exciting week next week. There's all kinds of stuff going on next week. On Wednesday, April 11th, as part of our annual ongoing process of school safety, we will be conducting an all-school lockdown safety drill on Wednesday, April 11th at 8:35 during first period. This drill will feature options-based ALICE safety training, specifically procedures for barricading rooms. The drill will be observed by local emergency response teams that will be on campus for the duration of the drill. In order to enhance the effectiveness and safety of the drill, we ask that students be dropped off or come to school before 8:25 a.m. if possible, so that all students can participate in the drill. We ask that students arrive to their first period class on time. We suggest that you, in preparation for the drill, because we'll be doing some active things, that you maybe wear closed-toed shoes, not dangly earrings, not dangly jewelry. If you don't have a first period class, it's an F day, right? Yeah, it's an F day, so if you don't have a first period class, come to the chapel and we'll give you an orientation there. So no student or employee will be allowed to enter buildings from 8:25 to approximately 9 when the exercise will end. All employees and students will be allowed to enter campus prior to 8:25, of course, but late traffic will be directed to the parking lot near the softball field, right beside the area, where late students will be directed to the lower soccer field to congregate where we normally line up during fire drills. And then, of course, everybody's welcome back after 9:30. After the drill, we'll all come back to the chapel to participate in a debrief. And anybody who was late and is waiting on the soccer field can come in and get warmed up in the chapel when we do that. I want to be really clear with you. There's not going to be scary noises. There will not. This is not going to be particularly anxiety producing. It's about solutions. It's about how to take action, what to do. It's been very, I think, empowering for many of us, and I think it will be for you. The loudest noise might be an air horn starting or stopping it, but what you will hear over the radio is, this is a drill, go Alice. It's going to be as loud as that, that's it. So if you have any concerns about that, please do not hesitate to come and talk to me and get more information. I'd really like to assuage any anxieties you might have. Thanks.
It's important to emphasize what Ms. Sherry said, that there's going to be an opportunity to debrief about this after the drill. we don't want you to be freaked out. We want you, in fact, to be reassured. The fact that the school is taking some action to make sure you feel safe in the what's admittedly a very unlikely event we ever had a serious campus emergency, but we want you to be safe. So if you've got questions, we don't have a lot of time to have a conversation about it right now. If you've got questions, please ask them, because we're doing this for you and for the safety of the community, but it's not something that we think you need to be really freaked out about. Okay? Now, I have an announcement from the current head of school. One of the things I love about break is the opportunity to recognize student achievement. We give out a lot of awards and prizes, and they're for a variety of activities because all of you are involved in a lot of cool things, including and especially your classes. There's one announcement that I'm pleased to make this morning that is particularly important because it reflects not an application, not an interview, not an activity, as much as dedicated, diligent, conscientious effort over a period of 4 years. The senior with the highest grade point average, it's a mathematical calculation, attains a special honor. And it is, again, earned and cumulative over time. That's what makes it so wonderful and so important. And so it's my pleasure this morning to congratulate and to announce the valedictorian for the class of 2018, Megan Tang.
First one, the York track team had a meet yesterday in PG with lots of successful times. Kevin Deliri ran PRs in both the 100 and the 200. Kevin King ran a PR in the 100. Tristan PR'd in the mile and set a season record in the half mile. Adam, even though Adam was sick yesterday, ran season records in both the mile and the 800. Jack Wilden ran a PR in the 200 and his second best time ever in the 400. Jasmine ran a PR in the 200, a PR in the 800, and placed third in the shot. And Catherine Yeager reached her season goal already. She ran a PR in the 200, breaking 27 seconds and placing second. And then my second announcement is about robotics. We had our competition this past weekend. Apparently I took 12 minutes last year to summarize our robotics season and to recognize students who put more than 100 hours of effort into something they're passionate about. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to spend up here today, though I know it's not nearly enough to convey the commitment that student members of this community have invested over the past 3 months. On behalf of the entire robotics team, I want to say that we are enormously grateful to Ms. Maston and Ms. Parsons for giving us the opportunity to travel to San Jose this past weekend to compete and continue the work that has gone into building this year's robot. I hope both of them will share their experiences with other faculty, staff, and the admin here at York so that we can continue to have that kind of opportunity. I've seen many of those faculty, staff, and admin at the fall play and the winter musical, at various other sporting events and activities at the school. But I can count on one hand the number of that group over the past 4 years that have come to see the robotics team, the level of competition, teamwork, and the enormity of the experience that we are immersed in when we leave campus. So on behalf of all the students who give so much to a program that is so multidisciplinary, it would be nice to have some support when we go to competition. The comprehensive demands of the last 3 months have been exhaustive and frustrating, but those are the very things that make robotics rewarding and fulfilling. Over the last few years, we've gone from a robot that could barely move around to a robot that is now able to carry our alliance teams. And while that doesn't necessarily translate into match wins, it does translate to a successful season and another large step for our team. There were many things that marked firsts for the robotics team this year, some small and seemingly trivial, and some pretty large. So here's a list. This was the first year that we used a limit switch. A limit switch, think of it just like a light switch. It's something that gives you an on-off. It seems pretty simple, but it's the first year we actually integrated that into the robot. It's the first year that we lit up the robot using LEDs and incorporated that aesthetic to respond to robot functionality. It's the first year that we built major field components so that we could actually practice before competition. It's the first year that we used encoders to track acceleration, velocity, and displacement to the robot. Hopefully those of you in physics understand those terms. As well as the functional components of the robot, and we use that information to tune robot performance to give us better performance, what we're looking for. It is the first year that we could effectively accomplish every teleoperated task. Teleop is when the driver is actually operating the robot in the game, and we did so over and over in competition. Also the first year that we could effectively accomplish every autonomous task in the game. Autonomous means that the robot was pre-programmed to do something, much of which are pretty high-level tasks. And we did so over and over in competition. So it's the first year that we overheard higher-ranked teams taking note of our accomplishments. It's the first year that we had effective scouting and game planning with every team that we allied with. And it's the first year that we were proactive in helping our alliance partners implement successful elements to improve their robots and the alliance in general. It is the second year in a row that Dwayne Davis and Tim Stanton from MPS gave their time and energy and mentoring to the team, and I hope it's not their last. It was the second year in a row that the team and the robot generated quite a bit of interest from the judges, and I suspect that it will not be the last. It's the second year in a row that we made every one of our practice matches, including additional matches that we queued up for. It's the second year in a row that we made a successful climbing robot, a task that seemed impossible only 3 years ago, and a task that teams more veteran than us still struggle with. It's the second year in a row in which our first qualification match started with one of our alliance members breaking down, though it's the first year that both of our alliance partners broke down in the first match. But we have been that robot for sure. And even though it is frustrating, the team took it with humility and grace, managing to score more than 200 points on their own, but not enough to win the match. Many of our other matches went similarly in one way or another, with Team 5171 doing more than we've ever been able to do. And it was especially tough watching the quarterfinal matches and recognizing that our team and our robot should have been on that field. But so it goes, and we'll be back next year, eager to build upon the many successes and failures from this year. So out of 60 local and international teams at the Silicon Valley Regional, this is how York ranked in different categories. For climbing, at the end of the match, we were 12 out of 60. For what our robot was able to do in autonomous, we were 9 out of 60. I'm sure many of you have been in the Student Center and seen the large wooden structures in there. The basic part of this year's competition was balancing those scales in your favor. We ranked 17 in owning the scales. We ranked 26 in something called the vault, that was delivering the game pieces to a human player that could earn power-ups and boost points for those. 26 mostly because we were doing the more complicated tasks and our alliance members were taking charge of the vault. And somehow being ranked 12th, 9th, 17th, and 26th, our overall ranking out of 60 teams was 49. And part of that has to do with the way you earn points in a match. There are ranking points given in a match, and within our alliances, despite doing what we could do, we weren't able to earn a lot of those ranking points. To compare to last year, so we were 12, 9, 17, 26, and then 49 overall. The comparative test last year, we were 21, 59, 51, 35, and 50 overall. So a huge, huge improvement from just a year ago. And last year's robot was pretty awesome also. The school should be very proud of the students who represented York Robotics at San Jose last weekend. We had students stepping into roles and investing tremendous amounts of energy out of their own desire to succeed, whether improving the robot or staying calm and making the necessary repairs when the worst happened in our last practice match. Whether driving the robot and operating it under intense pressure, being interviewed by judges and safety officers, scouting or game planning with other teams, scrambling around searching for parts or providing parts to other teams, forming an ad hoc pit crew to check every bolt and zip tie after each match to make sure the robot was ready to go, or just wandering around talking to other teams about designs and sponsors as a way to ensure the future success of the robotics team here at York. I know I am proud of this year's team, and I want to say thank you to all the students who made every evening and every Saturday an enjoyable and worthwhile investment of time. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the parents who helped organize this year, for bringing food, for offering your own time to come build with the students, for facilitating your students' involvement, and for supporting us at competition. And finally, we will have a video to share with everyone soon, and we'll likely host an event in the Student Center to show off the robot. But if everyone who was at competition or participated in building the robot could stand up, please. With about 80% new members this year. So to all of you who put so much into this, thank you for showing up. Thank you for struggling with complex problems. Thank you for not accepting failure and instead using it as a platform to drive the progress of this team. I look forward to working with all of you again next year.
I have 4 quick announcements. But they will be quick. A week from tomorrow, I'm going to be taking a group of my students in Code Design to the Tech Museum in San Jose. We have some room in the van if any of you are just interested in going. We're going to be meeting with an engineer to test our projects that's competing with some other students up in Silicon Valley. So if you're interested in that, see me. You're going to need to bring your own helmet. More details on that. I am also taking a group of students up to the Maker Faire on May 5th. As I've mentioned before, see me if you're interested in doing that. If you are interested in being a TEDx speaker next year, the applications for those are coming up very soon, probably this weekend. Go to TEDxYorkschool.org or see me. And then finally, there is a competition that I want to share with all of you. It's funded by Google. It's a $10,000 scholarship for anyone who's interested in mobile game design. You do not need any coding experience, but it is intended to fight the gender inequity gap among mobile game designers. That does not mean that anyone is excluded from this contest, but we're particularly looking for girls and for other underrepresented genders in the tech community. But everyone is welcome to apply. See me if you're interested in applying and designing a mobile app game. We need to move fast because the deadline is May 15th. Thank you.
Is going to be next Wednesday, April 18th, during PATH. half the path groups are going to be making sandwiches that will donate to the homeless out at Dorothy's Kitchen. And half the path groups are going to be bagging rice and beans like we've done before, for those of you who were here before. So, right now what we're going to do, sorry to encroach on class time even more, but half the path groups, the Dorothy's Kitchen path groups, are going to meet out in the commons, find your path leader, and you're going to very quickly sign up on the sheets that Ms. Wolf is holding up in the background. So your path leader will quickly sign you up for the ingredient you want to bring. Maybe you'll sign up for a loaf of bread or a jar of peanut butter, etc. The rest of the path groups, you'll stay in the chapel, and Drew will give a very quick, like 5-minute max spiel about the Rice and Beans, Rice Plus organization. Okay? So, let nobody move until I've gone through the whole list though, because it'll get too noisy to hear. These are the path groups that are going out into the commons as soon as I'm done. My group, Mr. Brady's, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Finks, Dr. Hannah's, Mr. Murray's, Ms. Parsons, Ms. Sherry's, Ms. Uchita's, Mr. Wilcox's, and Ms. Williston's. If your path leader is not here for some reason, go to another path person and tell them that. Okay? So again, if you are in any of these path groups, you're going to find your path leader in the comments. Mary, Brady, Daniel, Fink, Hannah, Murray, Parsons, Sherry, Uchita, Wilcox,